Peace and blessings be upon you all, guys. Thank you for joining us for another episode today. We are the Baraka Boys podcast. The latest podcast on the waves. I don't know, I'll let you guys decide that. Today we've got an interesting topic. And a lot of people actually sent in requests for this one. Jinns. Black magic, was that a jinn that just took the pen out of my hand? Jinns, black magic, possession, ruqya, Illuminati, aliens, everything. We're about to get all into that good stuff today. And we have some our jinn specialists on this side of the. I'm joking.
And then we have jinns over here.
I'm just going to go straight in there. Do you actually believe that jinn possession is a real thing? I'll give my opinion. I don't think it's real. I don't think a jinn can get inside someone and become that person.
The deen is not based on your opinions.
I don't think a jinn can get inside
produce your proof
and start singing top 10 hits by Rihanna, Wild Wild Thoughts. I just don't think that's what jinns have got time to be doing.
I think there are things that take place underneath the surface, but how we work with them is a bit different. Like somebody might just be going through a depression or a dark time, and the next thing you know, it's a jinn situation.
That's a whole topic in and of itself. Yeah. Muslims use depression and mental health, use the jinn as a scapegoat for that, and we don't deal with the issues that we have and trauma. That's my biggest issue. Yeah. Let's say everyone knows my position. I do not accept jinns can possess people. Yeah, cool.
From Quran and
Sunnah, and I can say that.
Yeah,
again.
me too. Quran and Sunnah. Yeah.
No. But my thing.
Sahih Bukhari and that.
Yeah. Yeah. My thing is this. My standpoint is this. We only know about the jinn and the name jinn and what they do through the Quran and Sunnah. Where the Quran and Sunnah stop, let's stop as well. Like, that's just about that.
So I want to ask you, So I know in the Quran there's no episodes of jinn possession.
There's one, those who touched by the shayateen.
Yeah.
But then that's talking about riba, because it turns them crazy. That's in Surah Baqarah.
But like in the Sunnah, there's nowhere that.
There's one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Apparently, a child was possessed by a jinn, and the Prophet said, read this or do this, the hadith is weak. There's another incident where Prophet and Ibn Abbas are walking, and a Prophet draws a circle on the floor and says, do not leave this circle, I'm going to give dawah to the jinn. And then Ibn Abbas says, I saw people the size of Ad, I saw people, the lights flashing, I saw this, whatever it was, it may be. And then Prophet came back from giving dawah to the jinn. Cool. I feel like, again, as godly people, we start with what God says, we're Surah Jinn. We know that they can talk. We know we know that amongst them there are free people. We know that they have their own realms. I have no issue with that. To go as far to say they can enter the body of a human being, that's my issue, because we have a principle in Sharia called taklif, which means you are legally responsible for what you do. Yeah. How far do you then go? How do we then say that? Okay, cool. Imagine.
Because it opens the floodgates. To just say I was
possessed by a jinn. Let's say, how do we know now?
That doesn't stand in the courts, does it?
Even if it doesn't stand in the courts, even Islamic courts. Exactly. So I don't get that. So let's say, for example, if you enter taklif, one of the principles of taklif in Sharia is that you have to be mentally aware of what you do. Let's say you go into operation at 12 p.m., and Dhuhr's at 1. You come at the operation at 6, Dhuhr's finished, yeah? You don't pray Dhuhr. You don't even make it up.
Oh, don't
you don't even make it up because
in the
Maliki.
Because I was in all four schools.
Yeah. Because that's taklif.
Oh shit.
Particularly, I believe it's all four school, but certainly about the Maliki school. Yeah. You don't make it up because you are no longer in that state. You are not mentally aware of what you do. If you at 7 p.m. had a bout of insanity and Maghrib came in at 9 and your wits came about you by midnight, you don't make up Maghrib in the Maliki school because you were not legally responsible at that time.
Yeah, could you say this is like a bad, when they give you medication, because I've had medication before, and it's not like I'm still aware of what I'm doing, but I'm a bit.
Let's say
I remember I had this codeine thing.
That's different though. Let's say that's widely under the umbrella of intoxication. You would make up that prayer because something you did to yourself. It's different now. Something that was done to you.
Okay, you got it.
Cool, yeah. That's my issue now. But then to say then now where does that even go in the courts? For example, how can we next say now all ISIS members are just possessed by jinn? It's not their fault.
People say that.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah. It just that's what I mean. It opens the floodgates to all these different.
But another thing is look, imagine you're a jinn, yeah. All right.
No, fire.
Because people say that the purpose of the jinn is to get inside of you to take you away from your relationship with Allah, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So why is a jinn coming into my house here in Birmingham, in my little, like a nobody, right? Coming in and just taking me away from my relationship with Allah. Why wouldn't a jinn like do something bigger? Why wouldn't a jinn go into a big imam, start saying mad stuff? Why wouldn't the jinn take the form of a mushaf?
Yeah.
And make up some verses inside there to misguide people?
Exactly.
So why is he going to come into like an auntie?
Or the worst one,
just for her to shake her
no.
arm?
Or the worst one, go into a man's body and make him not get an erection. You know what I mean?
You need Quran written on you.
Yeah, but it's Jardu, innit? So obviously they got sent by your enemies to come to come
your
for
cousin
you.
in Pakistan.
So it was your cousins that don't like how
And
you're
they're your
living
enemies
lifestyle, and they're your
specifically.
enemies, so they got the jinn to send to come for you.
They're the antagonists to the story.
All those hearts you broken in, yeah.
At the same time,
what you sow.
All them DMs that you didn't reply to.
at the same time, is there not a way for me to use judge to affect you?
But
Is there not a way?
Judge is a separate topic because let's say Shaitan we believe is the jinn, yeah? Most Muslims believe that, except for some scholars believe he was a fallen angel, for example, yeah? But cool, let's say he was
Some
a jinn.
Muslim scholars.
Imam Nawawi.
No way.
Yeah. Because when Allah says, I told the angels to prostrate, Shaitan prostrated with them. So I told the angels prostrate.
No, I get
Yeah, but doesn't the verse say?
And then
he was
and then
from-
counted him in a jinn.
And the one-
And it was from
And
the
the
jinn.
inhabitants of paradise.
So-
Yeah, but some scholars did believe he was a fallen angel. But that's
Jinn that took
Anyway,
the
that's
It's a minority opinion.
yeah, but I'm saying
anyway,
majority believe he was a
Jinn.
jinn. Cool. He's meant to be the strongest jinn. What is Bani Adam, children of Adam, going to say in Yawm al-Qiyamah to Allah? It wasn't our fault. Shaitan made us do it. Shaitan says back, you only had the power to whisper to you. If he's a king jinn, if he's a king jinn, I'm going to whisper to you.
Yeah.
What is there for all these other little jinns that can make you,
isn't that-
still wild out, sing song, take over your body, make you do certain things?
Isn't that? It almost correlates to mental health almost. If we're being really real.
And
Like
the
in
word
a-
in Arabic, majnoon.
Yeah.
Majnoon means to be taken over by a jinn, but it actually means to be crazy.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is if the maximum power of the devil manifest is the capacity to whisper, its inclinations towards darker things. Now, if you see the road of somebody who starts falling down, they are literally, if you go inside their head, someone who's in a bad place, they're living in hell. Like the voices inside of your head are non-beneficial. You haven't made peace inside of yourself, and you've allowed negative inhabitants to exist within you. So depending on how we look at it and whatever perspective, I would say you have entities inside of yourself. And those are things that you haven't resolved, you've allowed to nurture and fester in yourself, and now they have the capacity to distort your spirit
Which
and
is
action.
totally accurate, but it doesn't make it supernatural. Muslims love,
yeah, it's natural.
Muslims love to make it supernatural, as in like too many horror stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be a thing of like, it must be the jinn.
Yeah.
It must be this thing that's come inside and taken over me.
Which
Why?
is all like,
yeah,
and they tie it back to a
So what
horror
they go,
movie.
so what they go back to Ruqya, instead of all these entities and this trauma that you've got, instead of going to that
Doctor.
route and really talking about it and building yourself up there, they don't do any of that. They just do, okay, we're going to do Ruqya, and then you'll be magic.
but actually,
it's
check it out
not.
though, check
You
it
need
out
to
though.
go back and do the groundwork and heal yourself.
I agree, but check it out though. If I'm somebody and I've got issues, just remember this is form and function. And I go to you, my insides are messed up. I've got voices in my head that are bringing me into dark spaces. I'm having bad thoughts because you're just not doing well with yourself. And then the person then says to you, in order to rid yourself, first of all, read some Quran over you. You feel a bit uncomfortable. And then the person says, in order to heal yourself, read these things. And if you then go, I have issues, I'm going to take steps to deal with those issues, and I begin a practice, you've already started a mechanism to restabilize your mental health.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I feel
Okay, but
like-
that's cool. This is
Semantics,
It's a question I always say to the Salafis because they're big on Ruqya, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, the Prophet was teaching the Quran for 23 years in Mecca and Medina, yeah? Why is there not one case of him telling people to read Quran over anybody?
Teaching people how to do it.
Ruqya.
When the Prophet ﷺ, like he taught us how to
we
do everything.
taught you how to go to the toilet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But he didn't tell you, oh, if a jinn takes over your body, this is what you read. There's not one hadith that tells you how to do that.
They refer to the hadith of, Fatiha.
Yeah,
When the
yeah,
person reads Fatiha over the scorpion bite. So
Yeah,
there was like
yeah,
a hadith where some Sahaba were traveling and then someone was bit by a scorpion and then the person was brought to the Sahaba and then one of the Sahaba read Fatiha over them and then they were cured. And then when they went back to the Prophet, the Prophet said, oh, how did you know that Fatiha was a cure? And then there's the whole issue of can you take payment for it or not? Because that's one of the hadith that they used to, because the man asked for a fee for doing that. and the Prophet ﷺ allowed him to take a fee for that. So that's the only hadith, but that's the only hadith that you really find.
I mean, ruqya exists in Islam.
The real stuff.
Ruqya exists in Islam. Whether you're going to say it's placebo, even whether you're going to say it's
I was
real,
just about to get
whatever it may be, ruqya exists. I don't have issue with this, but this whole
What
practice.
do you mean ruqya exists in Islam, like it has a place in Islam?
Yeah, of course.
Curing
Of
people of jinn
course.
possession.
No. Medicinal purposes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were talking
Let's say,
about like.
but people have
Ghostbusters.
straight away we associate ruqya with jinn possession. Normally it means, for example, when
What does ruqya
in your song
mean?
Evil Eye, and people say Surah Falaq, yeah, that's a form of ruqya.
Yeah.
You know, Ayatul Kursi is a form of ruqya.
What you doing? A diss track for the jinn?
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, but then you're saying there's no instance of ruqya for jinn possession in the sunnah.
Nope, not once.
Clear.
By the way, jinns exist, obviously.
That I definitely do believe.
You have to.
Yeah, that's.
If you don't, you're not Muslim.
What? Even I.
No, jinns.
about
Oh, sorry, what
jinns.
did you say?
So yeah,
Believing in jinn.
I'm gonna give you a little story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Story time, my fun.
I
And I
got
love.
possessed once.
I was going.
Nah.
Is it about jinn?
You always
Yeah.
preface it like
Was it in
that.
England?
No.
I knew it.
Was it in India?
It was in England. It can't be in England because every story I heard of jinn has to be in Pakistan, has to be back home, all the time.
No, you hear jinn stories in the UK.
Not seen one though.
I've seen the jinn story.
I saw a jinn.
And then people
I saw
say
a
that
peasant.
I've had this conversation with people that there's no clear authentic evidence to prove that jinns can possess humans, and they've said but my cousin was possessed and he picked up like
10
5
people.
men and threw them and flew around. But I've
see
said
what
to those
affects
people
you,
every
yeah?
single time, what if you have somebody that has this case and you know 100% that they can do this, yeah? Why don't let us meet with them and let us watch this happen?
And
If
let her come
somebody
throw us.
walks around and starts flying around and picking up 10 men and stuff, come on, man. Nobody actually ever. Bro, this
I've heard jinn stories in America. I've heard jinn
Or like they
stories.
learn
in
a
I've
new
heard jinn stories.
language.
I've seen it in the UK.
But the question,
Aye, which one do you want?
the question would be, would they have the language of jinn? Would they
This one high
would they still
IQ.
be blamed? Or just say, this is my point is, why is Muslims our first point of call when something strange out of the ordinary happens has to be the jinn?
I don't think it's just Muslims. I think it's all traditional
Yeah.
societies. I think it's any non-Western society, anything mysterious that happens. People always like to blame spirits or the spirit world, or do you know what I mean? That's in every, especially as Africans, bro, juju and all this stuff and spirits and
We were signs. We were people of signs before people of science. That's shifted now. Back in the day, if you go just a little bit earlier, if it's not raining, it's got something to do with God. If the animals are ill, something directly to do with God. If something bad's happening to you,
Or the
you don't.
spirits.
Yeah, all the spirits basically. You don't have the information or the knowledge to understand the process. As we moved into I think, therefore I am, we needed to rationalize every process. So instead of going to spirit, we look at the mechanism behind things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
What's your
That's a good thing.
yeah,
right?
I'll tell you my little story, yeah. I'll leave the English one alone. So I'm in Somalia, yeah? And please dissect it. I'm in Somalia, walking, going off to a mosque, an Arabic class. So along the way, I stop off at a mosque with my friend. And then as I'm chilling with my friend, we pray. And then as I'm going to leave the mosque, it's like one in the little mountains. You know, there's like little pocket mosques everywhere along the route up. Now as I go, we stop to pray. And as I walk out, there's just this little boy on the floor, like making sounds and he's just rolling around in like contorted agony, basically. So we're like, all right, that's really, really strange. So we just sat down and then what's going on? He goes, we don't know, you just like this. He went in to go pray and he just fell and he's just been doing this since. I said, all right, cool. Started to recite some Quran over him. He starts making funky noises. You know, put your hand on his belly, something moves around his belly. Next thing you know, there's movement by his leg. You know, the traditional story stuff we say. But my hand's on the youth's belly. My hand sees the youth's belly protrude up. I'm trying to push the youth's belly down. The youth's back and spine arches. And my man's literally like this off of it and I'm trying to push him down. Next thing you know, the same amount of pressure that's there moves directly over to the kid's leg, like the quad part of his leg. So then we carry on reciting Quran. And then finally, his dad comes, we get him, and then we ask the kid what happened. They tell you a story. This little 6-year-old boy, maybe you can process it how we want to. He said I was out and I was playing football and there was this cat and this cat just basically pissed on my shirt and I got really mad and some of the youths picked up the rock and they can throw stones. So they just deaded off the cat. He killed the cat with the stone, that messed his shirt up. On the way back, some crazy stuff started happening to him. Next thing you know, they do the Quran thing. He goes, I'm a jinn that's inside of the boy's body who was connected to the cat that was killed with a jinn inside of it. Now, I'm just gonna talk.
Who said?
and the kid told
The kid saying this with that traditional deeper voice thing.
So the
But do you believe that, by the way?
I am
Jinn
so...
was speaking through the kid.
quote unquote.
And you heard that?
I heard these things with my own ears. I've heard the tone change.
What was the jinn saying?
It was saying the story of he killed my cat. The cat had my missus in there. I'm gonna dead this you off.
Sounds like it's intense guilt.
Do you believe it though, Faisal?
I'm just giving this over to you guys, and I'm just communicating the same experience out.
I'm gonna
There's
say
so
Khalid
many
said it- Khalid said
rational
it- Khalid said it intense guilt. That was a very
Because
good
I'm one of
point.
those people. I'm like, I believe in all of this traditional stuff, and I'm very superstitious.
Yeah.
Well, we believe
I
in
fully
tradition
believe
as
it.
well, by the way.
So you guys are not like that, innit? Like, mum is very different from how I process it. So like, I've never been the person to say I rule out gym possession or I'm here for it. I've never experienced it, so it's not really relevant to my life. But it's like, yeah.
But you go to Quran and Sunnah and everything else though.
That's the thing, no. So that's the thing. For me, my only issue was that I've never seen instances in the Quran with jinn possession or in like hadith with jinn possession, except for that one hadith, and it's weak. And even if it's a singular hadith anyway, and
You can't build. My point is
you
that
can't build evidence of a singular hadith.
and you can't. But you
so
can't
it's
build a
like-
belief system. People say if you deny
Industry.
if you deny the existence of possession,
Industry.
if you deny its existence in Islam, you're no longer Muslim to many people. People say that.
Jinn possession.
Yeah, people say that. It's almost an aqidah point.
Sure.
Jinn, yes.
Jinn,
but that
yes.
attachment
Yeah,
of
possession.
possession's been locked in
I'll give you a
there.
good example. Ibn Taymiyyah, who's Shaykh al-Islam, some, yeah, rahimahullah, he says very like he actually brings very fair. He goes, you know what? After looking at the evidence from the Quran and Sunnah, there's not one single evidence to suggest that jinn possession can happen. However, because it's a lived phenomenon which we all observe, we all accept it.
Yeah, that's
what he says.
That's more my stance.
I don't take it, but
Yeah,
that's what
That's
he says.
my stance.
For me,
on it.
the mechanism's the
That's
one thing.
inconsistent though, man.
I don't think it's inconsistent.
And don't
Because
you
it's
think
like
Because for other things, yeah, like people wouldn't accept that. If it's not in the Quran and Sunnah, we're not gonna have it.
Yeah, why?
But when
would
it comes to this,
one-
everybody does it, so now we're gonna accept it.
can I ask you a question?
What about Mawlid then?
Then what about the hadith of
It's the same thing because everybody does it in certain parts of the world. So why are you not gonna accept that because it's not in Quran and Sunnah? But jinn possession, you'll accept.
Because you're making money from it.
Okay. Wow, that's saucy. I lost what I was about to say now.
Sorry, bro.
That's okay. Now you said something so passionate.
that's
about
one thing though. The whole industry that's come
Yeah.
around from this whole jinn possession phenomenon.
they get
That
paid,
is
you know?
that is problematic. I feel like that's problematic. I mean, we've seen cases recently of
Exactly, madness.
madness that happened with some
But you know, with your story, Faisal, right? So you know, with that, yeah. See, this is when I have this conversation with people, I always say, you know how sometimes you're staring at a screen for a really long time, or you'll just be really tired and your eyes like fuzz a little bit. It's happened to most people, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I said to you that, look, if you go into my car and you believe 100% in jinns and jinn possession, and that they can get into you, overpower you, or you believe in the whole thing, there's 100 jinns in that car. It's known. You go into that car now and you sit there in the middle of the night and your eyes fuzz a little bit like they normally would if you were here. You wouldn't think anything of it. I can guarantee you, because it happened there and you believed that it was a jinn that caused it, you'll definitely believe that, right?
Placebo
So
effect
in this
is a thing. Like it's
in
not
this
like,
case with the kid, yeah, he believes that he wasn't faking it. Probably he wasn't. He actually believed that he was possessed by a jinn, and this is how you were supposed to remove it. But is that the actual reality of the situation, though?
So check this out. I had another element. So his dad came now. His dad finally got the kid talking again. He stayed there for about 20 minutes with the youth. So his dad finally is there, takes the kid, and then he's like, I don't want to leave the mosque, Dad. So then he takes the kid. He's like, it's fine. So they walk about 10, 15 steps, 20 steps, and he goes, Dad, they're coming. He's holding his dad's hand, and straight away he just contorts up and just drops, and his dad's holding him, and they take him back to the mosque. The only thing is, I'm somebody, when I say I look at the internal state, and I believe that there's things that we add to and we feed that can directly become inherently poisonous to us, and how that manifests can look crazy. And I also believe that there are things that transpire and take place outside of the realm of like quantifiable understanding.
Yeah,
100%.
And I also believe that there are people with intelligence and awareness of that space.
I don't have issue with that.
Yeah, and with that,
That's the role of the prophet.
Yeah.
That communicates, joins the world of the unseen and unseen.
Yes,
we are people who believe in the realm of the unseen.
Of course, if
so
there-
I don't have it. I think there's. The problem is, it's the next step.
You
I
said black magic
I
as
believe
well,
in. I don't believe in black, but I believe in magic. It's just we have to define what we mean by magic.
What do you mean by magic?
No, but magic is defined in different ways. For example, the chemical change of something, as by someone looking at something, all scholars say that doesn't exist. For example, can a man come and change his cup into a, not what it looks like, what it really is.
Yeah, like I can't go from water, boom, wine.
Yeah, wine.
Okay,
not an illusion.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
actually
most
becomes
scholars
wine.
say, most scholars of Islam say that's not possible.
You can't change that.
The chemical properties of something actually.
What, the Jesus Tekka?
Huh?
What?
Yeah. So most scholars say that can't
So what's
happen.
black magic then?
So we'll come on to that. Yeah. So then we have Abu Hanifa says that all magic is an illusion, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. Then you have some scholars who say that magic now. Let's say back in the day, you come to somebody and say that, I'm not aroused with my wife, and this guy comes, okay, let me give this potion, and add these herbs, add this mix aphrodisiac,
Ginger.
and gives it to you, and then you can now have. That's form of magic as well. That magic is accepted. Everyone said that magic is real. That's what they call magic as well. So when you say magic now,
Magic in speech as well.
oh no, inna fi kalam la sihr. That's hadith of the Prophet. Verily, in speech, there's magic. You know, people who have the gift of the gab.
Yeah, if you spin game, man, silver tongue.
Yeah, exactly. That's magic as well. So my problem is, when you mean by black magic now, what do you mean by black magic?
Magic done by black people. I'm joking. I mean,
I feel like killing goats and
killing
bathing in the
goats,
blood and stuff and
chickens.
whatever that does. Or
Don't we do?
the
for me,
dolls with the pins.
The voodoo and juju.
There you go. There you go.
that man, okay, I don't believe
Ouija.
that part. But
Ouija
so
boards.
basically, but it's interactive. For me, it's interacting with the jinns to do to fulfill a certain thing, like whether it's make this person fall in love or mess up like family dynamics and shit like that. Like for me, I believe that can be done.
Seriously, how do you think that they interact with the jinns then? What's the process?
That's what I mean. I don't know because I want to do it. But
Well, they ask you for your name and your mother's name.
No, but does the jinn come
And
to
then-
you in its own form as a human, or
Bruh,
does it come into your
could you
mind?
see all these
How does
videos
it
that-
work?
That's what I mean. I know.
And,
It works with
and where
you.
does that come from anyway?
Can I ask? Like,
Sorry.
No.
No, but isn't magic in the Quran? Or are they talking about the speech?
Yeah,
and
God
shit
brought
again?
angels to teach the people magic. It's in the Quran. There's 2 angels that were brought down, and they were the people that
What magic was that?
I don't know.
No, but apparently magic.
I don't know of
So
that.
who of all the prophets, which one had the most? Which
Man like
ummah?
Musa.
Exactly. Which ummah had the most? Like they were the most skilled in magic.
Moses.
Yeah. What you find in the Sunnah of Allah, He sends prophets. The messengers He sends can match what the people are doing and do it better. So, for example, why is the Quran the greatest miracle of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Because the time of Arabic was the highest. So when Moses' magic was, turning into the stuff into
And then
the
before
stick.
that was Jesus
why
and
was that?
healing
Yeah,
dead
why?
and shit.
Because in Moses' time they were the most gifted and talented in magic. Now, I accept that. You see David Blaine does. He can put a spike through his hand.
Doesn't the ayah say that it was made to look like?
Yeah, exactly. So the problem is that now.
What this stuff turned into a state was made
It
to
was
look like
made
that.
to look
But
like.
that doesn't mean that's the
What's
actual
the-
thing
you
that
know
took
the
place.
ayah?
No, don't lie off heart. But doesn't mean that's the actual thing that took place. Not necessarily. Magic as an illusion, I accept it. As an illusion, of course I do. What I see, like, who's that guy? Dynamo, what he does. That's
Incredible
is that-
illusions.
Is that not magic? That's an illusion, isn't it?
But now take that to a village where people have never interacted with the rest of the
Okay.
world. They would definitely think that you got some
Jinn
special
inside
powers.
you.
Alright, so check this out. If
Forget that. In the comments on Muslim posting it, bro, he works with jinns, bro. Dynamo works with jinns, bro. Because he walks on
Some of
water,
that
works with
shit is
jinns.
unbelievable, Jacob.
and he does that whole I'm tired of.
Is it not possible to liaise with the jinns, to work with the
Spirits. Yeah, you can work
So
with spirits.
I kind of see it like this personally. I see it like a Venn diagram. Second time. So I feel like we have our world, the jinn have their world, most of the time, and there can be some kind of overlap.
And there's some people who are bridges in
And
between that space.
what is this? What do we do?
I don't know what it is.
What the overlap?
Yeah.
So
No, but the reason why, because that's Quran. Because what does the Surah Jinn starts with? We heard a beautiful thing, and the jinns talking about we heard this thing, and when we tried to go up to the sky, our angels came down and hit the jinns back down. That's in Surah Jinn.
Does the
Yeah, and
Quran
even-
describe how they are, how they were created, like just their forms and stuff? Does it go into detail about the way that they are?
A smokeless fire.
Because is the Islam the only one that says that
Smokeless.
the jinn or the demons or these spirits are smokeless fire?
I don't know what options.
Hey, yo, so smokeless fire. What's is electric? What's
Do other
electricity?
religions say that?
No, it's like-
smokeless
Not
fire.
that I know of. I don't.
Because if that's
Assassin's
the
Creed, the
case,
game
then why would
shows it quite
like
well.
you have some non-Muslim jinns, right?
Yeah.
So but if the Quran is the only one that's describing them in detail for how they are, how they behave, and the Quran is what's affecting them when verses are recited, how is
No,
how
because
is
obviously
it
the
non-Muslim jinns?
we believe the Prophet was giving dawah to the unseen.
You're trying to call the jinns dumb.
Nah, the Prophet was giving dawah to
I'm
the
not trying
jinns,
to beat
obviously.
jinns to be
And
honest.
even within that Surah Jinn, they say the jinn was saying that there's some of mankind that used to seek refuge in some of us, the
Yeah.
jinn.
Yeah.
So jinn interaction is something
I
that
have
is
issue
in
with
the
that. Does take
Quran.
place.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does take place.
But how the interaction is, I think people go too far.
Yeah, it's not as shiny
do
as
you
it's
think
not
though?
shiny as people are making
What?
it out to be.
How do you think that? Like, what do you?
I think personally, jinns have the power to whisper, like the shaitan does.
Okay, what's that?
What's that? OCD. No, I wouldn't say OCD because OCD is a medical condition, but let's say the insinuations of your lower base desires and probably good things as well. I think jinns
So
can
it's
do
not
that.
a direct.
I don't think it's like, okay, let me summon my jinn here. Okay, you're gonna go to my
like
cousin.
he comes and sits on the podcast with
So
us.
if you
But
close
some people say that that's how it works.
So if
yeah.
you close your eyes, yeah.
But Briggs, I know you're holding back though. You know you.
So, okay,
That's what I mean. Stop letting these boring people. They're taking the life out of Islam.
No, do you know?
I want to see stars flying.
like-
Tell them.
Obviously, I've studied in West Africa, innit? And I've lived in West Africa for extended periods of time. Gambia, Senegal, Mauritania,
Tell them about
Nigeria,
time saw the
whatever.
wings.
You hear all these jinn stories and you hear all this stuff, and even people go into detail of like, yeah, you know, when magicians summon jinn, what they do is they'll have a jinn that they talk to, and the jinn will say, okay, I need you to sacrifice this for me. So then when they want that jinn to do something for them, then they'll have to sacrifice like a goat or a cow or a da, and then the jinn will now do the thing for them or whatever. And you hear all these, I've even heard stories of people saying, yeah, this guy married a jinn.
No, but,
And-
no,
you
but
know what I mean?
that's in the fiqh books as well.
Yeah.
So they say a man can marry a female jinn, but a female jinn can't marry a man jinn. Human can't marry a man jinn.
jinn, yeah.
They say that in the fiqh books as well. But they also say, can you marry mermaids as well? So
Yeah, so it's all a bit like
Can you marry
whatever,
mermaids?
innit? For me, because I've never directly interacted with all of this stuff, and it's not relevant to me, I've never had that interest or developed that interest into it. And I feel like it's an unhealthy obsession that a lot of Muslims have, where it's like they don't want to study fiqh, they don't want to learn about how to recite Quran, they don't want to learn about history, they don't want to learn language, they don't want to do anything, but they want to sit down and do jinn stories.
Where can they learn
Do you know
about
why?
history?
Do you know why?
They affirm to be a faith as well.
No, I'm
What-
saying because I can understand why these Muslims have an excessive obsession with looking into black magic, jinns and stuff like that. Because if you were to see a jinn, there was this say a black smoke comes and it's a person, that would affirm everything else, because it would be almost like a miracle, like, oh, you actually exist, and then I'm taking my deen seriously now. But most people that have like scary experiences with jinns, they do normally then go and take their deen a lot serious, because that means, oh, if that's true, then all this is true, even though you can get that certainty by studying what you was talking about, fiqh, to solve all of these kind of things. Certainty,
less glamour,
certainty to know it, but it's a much boring, a lot boring
It's not sexy
of a
enough,
way.
like.
Like I got to sit there for hours doing meditation and dhikr, or reading and studying why the Quran is a miracle. Like, no, let me just look into black
I mean,
magic and-
jinn,
and
like for
it's-
me, I feel like it's very much part of our deen, because we have from Surah Jinn, the Prophet ﷺ interacting with the jinn community. Then we have like over time you hear about scholars that interact with jinn. Do you know what I mean? Jinn that become Muslims, even as close to people I know who have interacted with jinn. Do you know what I mean? So that's not an issue for me, but the possession thing is an issue, just because of the fact that the industry that's built off the back of that, I feel like is very exploitative.
Definitely.
And there's so many charlatans out there, and there's so many people that are doing this ruqyah thing, and there's so many people that are taking mental health issues and like psychological issues and blaming it on jinn, or even just like you're having marriage problems because you don't communicate with your partner. You're a crap husband or you're a crap wife or whatever. Your marriage is falling apart by force. It must be a jinn.
And that's my
said
issue.
by your cousin in Pakistan. Like it don't make
But
sense.
that's my issue though. That's my issue, yeah. Okay, let's just say I accepted the premise that jinns can possess. Why is it the first point of call? Let's say before you get there, let's eliminate everything else. Okay, you've got this problem, you've got schizophrenia, you've got this syndrome,
It's
you've got
something that you can't,
chemical imbalance.
necessarily deny. If I say I've got a jinn,
Exactly.
it's not easy for you to just go, well, you're not.
No,
so,
you
I,
don't.
so
And
Yeah.
people get really offended, man.
I know.
I know, and they like. I understand it, because if you truly believe that this is what you have, and then Fahad turns around and says, "Nah, no, you don't. No, you don't." Of course, you're gonna get pissed off.
But I saw someone like, remember like, but then it's just as silly, like this guy can enter your whole human body and just to move your arm every 2 seconds.
This is
Or
It
just to
strips
twitch
you, it
your,
also
to just
strips
twitch
you
your
of
arm every
accountability,
minute.
man. It also strips you of accountability. Like
Exactly.
I don't have to
Exactly.
own my shit because
Exactly.
there's an energy thing that you can't see,
Exactly.
but I know is real.
Yeah.
And then I can focus on the sensations of me being a victim
Exactly.
as opposed to me being a perpetrator to myself, and that's why I'm not growing.
And I think that's part of
That's
human
the
nature as well.
but to admit that I would rather admit that there's a spooky entity coming after me than admit that I am doing myself a disservice every single day and I'm responsible.
Like, love to blame.
Yeah, it's like,
and everybody has a shaitan, innit? Everybody has a shaitan is a jinn. Do you know what I mean? So jinn interacting with you, it shouldn't be this strange thing because you have a jinn that's with you all the time and 2 angels as well. Do you know what I mean? The seen world and the unseen world are not that separate. So for people to make it out like, oh yeah, you know, I'm living a normal life, then this random jinn just came and destroyed my life. Like, you're interacting with angels and spirits and ruhaniyat every day. Always. Like, so
in terms of people being able to interact with jinns and possibly work with them, what do we think about like maybe organizations that like people have made claims against them that, you know, they do work
Illuminati.
Talk
about Illuminati.
I was getting around to it. Claims that they work with, you know, the unseen in order to manipulate the music industry and them thing there, and, you know, Illuminati basically. What do we think about that? Is that just all a joke, or is it because they be doing some scary looking rituals?
I think there are agendas. But I don't. There's a body like there's a people sit around a table and say today we're going to tell Jay-Z to do this to get these people to think this.
I feel the definite agendas. That's known about the music industry.
Yeah, I'm not so much the music industry. Like, I'm picturing in my head are guys in, you know, the robes and the hoods up, and they've got the candles going.
But Satanism is real.
Bro, and it's not even necessarily just Satanism. It's like just working with dark forces.
Yeah.
My question:
if you look at Illuminati's principles, it's nothing to do with dark.
Do we believe that is real?
I definitely believe it's real, but in a different sort of, like, everything that we're seeing in this like ritualized, imaginated sense, scale that down by 50 and make it equally as sinister. That's what I think happens.
I feel like it's definitely real, just because everybody and every single culture and every single spiritual or religious or social practice is always linked to some kind of connection to the unseen world. So it's like, as Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. That's our connection to the unseen. For shamanistic tribes, they have mediums and they drink potions and whatever to have contact with the spirits of their ancestors in the unseen world. The same way, people don't really explore the Western tradition, and it's also history. These kind of rituals and these kind of things are part of Western history and Western culture. Do you know what I mean? Just because the face of Western culture now is one of, oh, we're secular and we're scientific and we're non-religious, it doesn't take away from the fact that there are still traditions and things that go on behind the scenes and things that people like. Why, for example, would you go to Parliament? Like, I've been to House of Parliament a couple of times, and I've been to like the Ministry of, not the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Foreign Office. Why, when you go into the Foreign Office, you look up and there's a picture of the 7 major Greek gods: Rome, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Why is that there? It's because even though it's a secular society, there's still that background of they have a religious tradition, they have a spiritual tradition, they have all of these things. So it's like when people say, oh, Freemasons, like if you study Freemasonry or you look up to it, it's based on the whole concept of like Solomon's Temple and the Masons that built Solomon's Temple and the Knights Templar, and it's all kind of connected. And they have rituals that reenact all of those things. These are normal people that you'll see every day. They're CEOs of companies, they're whatever. But for them, that's a way that they access the unseen world, or that's a way that they pay homage to whatever unseen forces. I wouldn't classify it as religious, but it's like, it is, because it's based off religious principles.
So could you be Muslim and Freemason?
Boy, they have been Muslim.
They have been.
But
obviously people say it's haram, innit?
But I think there's demons and the jinn, like, or dark forces. Because, like, we see people as normal, but if you look at their patterns of behavior, look under the surface, you'll see demonic things in people.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about the music industry, I definitely do feel, if you look under the surface, you realize the amount of power these people have accumulated. It's disgusting, in the sense of, you hear stories of artists being put in positions where they have to do something compromising in order to gain a certain status and then gain a certain breakthrough into a certain platform, because from then on, the fact you did that and you've gone through, they always have something on you. For example, these sort of frameworks in and of themselves are vampiric. They're pretty much demonic by nature, and they are part of the structure that holds the industry up.
But is they Illuminati when you say they?
But when I say they, this is the thing. If I say Illuminati, it's a really immature way of brushstroking everything, as
Yeah.
opposed to saying the innate sickness that lives in people, and if you don't take the responsibility to fester it, and if you don't take the responsibility, it festers.
And another thing as well, I feel like people take it too far. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we have all these conspiracy theory YouTube channels, yeah?
Yeah.
A lot of them have been translated into like other languages. So like now, like I go to Senegal quite often, yeah, and I'm like Senegambia, I'm half Senegambian, so it's like I'm involved with the culture and what's happening. There's a big thing of, in Senegal, anyone that's has money or anyone that's successful, they say, oh yeah, he's a Freemason. Or like when Rihanna came to Senegal, when Rihanna came to Senegal, I think it was 2 years ago or last year, there's like a council of imams that did a protest because they watched YouTube conspiracy videos saying that Rihanna's Illuminati and she's a Freemason, and they're like, well, we don't want Freemasonry and Illuminati in our country, and they did a protest to ban Rihanna from coming to Senegal because she's the Illuminati. Like, when it reaches that stage, I'm like, bro, this is a bit ridiculous.
But it's my point. Why can't we just nip it in the bud? Let's say there is something there. Yeah. Let's say there is. But why can't we just nip that in the bud and start having other excuses first before you get to silly things like blame everything on the Illuminati? That's my point. I want to just be rational thinking in my way of thinking. You know what? Let's say there's the 10% possibility or even 5%. Cool. Let's go with 95% and use other excuses other than the unseen all the time.
Can I ask
My
a question?
point is,
You know,
go on.
so, you know, because I don't really get into conspiracy theories, I avoid them as much as possible. Is the understanding, is it that the Illuminati is like a board of members where people get
It's
together?
one understanding, yeah.
Is that
One
it?
understanding, but
They control the world.
Illuminati is like, again, if you read their principles, it just sounds like any other religion.
But Illuminati
So it
or
definitely
Freemasons,
exists.
because Freemasons
The pyramid of
exist.
life.
The Freemasons definitely.
Freemasons exist. Illuminati, no one knows if they really
As an
exist or
organisation.
not. As an organization.
Well, not an
And when you
organization,
look
but
at
people that follow it.
But when you look at people that say stuff about Illuminati, they always base it on Freemasonry. They're like, oh,
Exactly.
the Freemasons are Illuminati,
Exactly.
but Illuminati is like this, whatever. And I'm like, you. And the thing is, for me, is all these people that make these YouTube videos, have you ever been to a Freemason temple? Have you ever entered the lodge? Do you know what they do? Like, from when you don't have access to it, you can't really talk about it. And then from my like baseline thing with this whole situation is just the fact of, okay, we give them too much power. We put too much power into the hands of, okay, it's the Illuminati and it's this and it's that, as if human beings are helpless. Because think about this. In this whole creation story, in the whole kind of Islamic metaphysics that we have of the hierarchy of angels and jinn and Shaitan himself, how did he even end up in Jannah? The scholars say the jinn, there was a nation of people called Al-Hin, and then Al-Bin, and then Al-Jinn. That's what
The Hin bin Jinn.
yeah, that's what Ibn Kathir says in his Tariq and all of this stuff. The jinn now were having wars with each other. So the angels came and overpowered them, destroyed the troublemaking ones, and then took some of them as captives of war and put them in Jannah, something like that. So when they were there, Shaitan's parents were captives. So he grew up amongst the angels and he's interacting with them and he's living, do you know what I mean, amongst the angels and whatever.
never
He
heard
learns
this-
all this knowledge.
This could be a film,
parent story.
You know, I was thinking, I was like,
This could be actual Warner Brother.
surely the dad would be worse. I was like,
No, if you go into the traditional, like if you study like Ibn Kathir's
That's what Ibn Kathir says,
Al-Bidayah wa
yeah.
Nihaya and all of these things,
what's
and
it based
Tariq
on, though?
al-Tabari and all of these books.
The irony being, Ibn Kathir says that, alhamdulillah, thank God for modern day scholarship when we don't have fairy tales anymore, yeah? Because they say,
Can you just leave us with a few fairy tales?
Yeah, I like that.
Well, let me
Sounded
finish
quite
the
good.
Yeah, it's a good fairy tale.
Let me get to my point. So the Hin were there, the Bin were there, the Jinn were there. There's a war on Earth because the Jinn were the ones that inhabit the Earth before Adam was
wow, that's
created.
amazing.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's lit.
I wish
all the
you guys
prisoners-
could see what's going on in my head right now.
All the prisoners of war now, they all live with the angels. So Shaitan, as a young little jinn, his parents have been captured. He grows up with the angels and he studies and he studies and he gets to the level where he's now teaching them and he's in this hierarchy and whatever. Then all of a sudden, he's the abid, like he's the one that worships Allah the most, he's the one that prays Allah the most, he's the one that knows Allah the most. Then all of a sudden he sees Allah's creating a new creation. So for 40 days, it's in one stage, then another 40 days it's in another stage, and he keeps like sniffing around to try and see like, what's this thing doing? Like, what is this gonna be? Not knowing that Allah's about to create Adam. Then it gets to the stage now, Allah creates Adam and he tells the angels, I'm gonna put a Khalifa in the earth. The whole scenario, he
Did
breathes into
Shaitan
him.
think it was him?
He breathes into him from the spirit, and then he commands all the angels to bow down to Adam. So imagine Allah says he creates him with his two hands, he breathes into him from his spirit, and he teaches him all the names of everything. So he's now placed him at the hierarchy of creation, and everything that's been in creation before him was there as like a red carpet leading up to his arrival, essentially, because that's the Khalifa of Allah in the earth now. That's the one that's representing Allah in the creation. Shaitan now, he says all the angels bow down. Because Shaitan was there, he had to bow down as well. He's like, no, I'm not bowing down to him. And then sworn enemies, da-da-da-da-da. In this whole thing, if you're an Adami, you're a descendant of Adam, that means you've been given superiority over the jinn, over the Malaika. And if the Malaika can defeat the jinn and wipe them out in war, then that means you're double hierarchy over the jinn. So then how can you now come down to earth as the representative of Allah on earth, as someone is descended from who the angels and the jinn had to bow down to, and then you're scared that one man called John is in the office sacrificing to a jinn, and then that's going to destroy your life? It don't make sense.
And that was the ending was the most important part of that whole story. And I feel like obviously a lot of people say
It was the most entertaining part though.
Yeah, exactly, because people need to be entertained, innit?
Nah, it's the reality. People like the story.
Did you play with toys as a child?
I actually didn't.
Man has got a fit book on his birthday.
It's like you as a human being, inherently, just within your nature, you're more powerful than any jinn. You're even more powerful than the angels if you're on the right course. So it's like if you're a Muslim and you're praying 5 times a day, or even if you're not a Muslim and you're just a human being, just by virtue of being a human being, like, you shouldn't put yourself in a situation where you're scared. Because even shaitan, like Allah says in the Quran, "Inna kayda shaitan da'if," like the plot of shaitan is weak.
Exactly.
And if you say "A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim," you're protected from shaitan, and that's the king of the jinn. So then why are you now scared of all these other minor jinns and all these other minor things saying that they can come and destroy your life? If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, I don't think that it can...
Is that the same principle as applied to evil eye? To be protected from that? Because we can... we're
Evil eye, I have difference of opinion from these man, innit? I believe it.
I made a song called Evil Eye, so I'm bound to my opinion, regardless of what I feel.
Not even.
I don't even think we should get into the evil eye discussion.
No, I want to make a point on it.
Yes, make a point.
Yes, sir.
Coming
think,
from Turkey, well,
What did you say?
coming from a Turkish background, the whole, what's it called?
The Fatima.
Chinese bike.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Not that other Turkey thing, God. Wow.
Khalid, I'm sorry, man. Whatever I did, I'm sorry, man. So you know, with this evil eye thing, yeah. So I grew up believing that it was some, like, if you look at somebody or somebody's possession and you don't praise God for it, Allah is going to destroy that thing. So now, for example, if I buy a car and I'm like really happy about it, and Faisal comes and sees my car and says, "Oh, that's a really nice car, bro," but he doesn't say masha'Allah, and
Well,
I go on,
Allah,
and I go and then crash the car, like that was as a result of evil eye. So, but that's never sat right with me, and I'm sure if people think about it, it won't sit right with them. It doesn't make any sense, because I can buy the car, I can recognize that the reason I have this car is from Allah, and I can praise Allah for it. I can even give money in charity because I'm so grateful to Allah for the car. Faisal isn't even hating on the car. He's saying, "Bro, that's a really nice car. I'm so happy for you." But he didn't say masha'Allah. So now Allah is going to destroy my car, even though I praised Allah for it.
What a petty God.
That's evil eye. If people think that's evil eye, like,
But
bro,
do
you really
people
think that
even
God
think
is
that's
like
evil
that?
either?
They do.
Because for me,
Most cases,
most
that's
cases
what
they
it
do.
is.
What said
And
me,
to
I
prevent
w-
that, they have like some people have like a taweez or like a black cloth on their car. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
that.
To prevent the evil eye. So now Faisal doesn't say masha'Allah, but don't worry, the black cloth has said it instead, or has like counted his non-masha'Allah saying.
That's why I made the song, so we get people who can be protected, say mashallah.
So
protecting the
that I don't
nation.
crash my car.
Yeah, protecting people.
So what do you guys think? Nobody agrees.
Guys,
right?
now when it comes to evil eye, though,
Everybody knows that doesn't
I
make
forgot
sense,
who
right?
said it. I think Muhib said it, yeah. I actually, forgive me in case he didn't say it, but somebody said something about the evil eye which left me going, So if the evil eye and people look at you with negativity, yeah, and like something that you have and that may partake if in that way, what happened with Drake? The amount of people that hate on Drake.
No,
daily.
obviously,
because the jinns are
your
protecting him.
God is very subjective, though, isn't it? So obviously, it's only if you don't say mashallah to this person is going to destroy your stuff. But my man who's not even Muslim, God's going to be like, nah, let's allow him, innit?
That's why.
Yeah, but then that's what
Ridiculous
some people
stuff,
say,
man.
that they're like, oh, because they're not Muslims, they're already trapped in the dunya anyway, and they're going whatever anyway. So
No, but
so,
even-
so it doesn't matter.
Where does that come
But
from?
when
Not
you're-
from Islam.
but when you're Muslim, then okay, so like Drake that has like millions of followers and millions of people watching him every day and millions of people viewing his lifestyle and hating on him, he won't get evil eye. But your uncle, Imran, when he gets his like lease on his new Mercedes and someone doesn't say masha'Allah, then he's gonna crash. Like that's the logic of it, innit? So
even though he says masha'Allah for himself,
don't you agree? Don't you believe in the negative energy and when people? So like sometimes again, because I'm a big person of energy. Like I do believe in that, and I do believe if. For example, one thing I've seen in my life, and maybe it's just a placebo effect, you never know. When I'm quiet on things, I am planning something, talking to someone I'm like this, or like whatever it is, I feel when I'm quiet of them, they always seem to come into fruition. And that's even a practice that non-Muslims say when they're just like, oh, move in silence. Like there is a hidden wisdom behind all of this. And I think the evil eye thing, I wouldn't say it's just because you didn't say masha'Allah, because that does seem unfair.
You think there's some invisible kind of energy that made the car crash happen?
But there is an invisible energy in the fact
from his...
No, like not like it's like people's intention. Like intention is the strongest thing.
This would only work if Faisal hated on the car, right? In this situation.
No, I'm saying if he...
But what you're saying is a hypothetical situation.
No,
there's like... I'm saying cases are different. So like you have a cousin that genuinely hates you and is genuinely thinking like, rah.
Like hates you, like...
But the general understanding is if you don't say masha'Allah, you'll get the evil eye.
No,
that's
Islam.
So nobody, nobody
again,
here believes that, right?
That's why it was posed as a question. That's why it was posed as a question about negative energy and that with the evil eye. That's what I believe evil eye is.
The thing with me is there hadith. Listen, the thing with me is
to an extent, no way you can like
on the
powers
eye.
and shit.
For me, I feel like there's hadith on the evil eye. The Prophet said the eye is haq. There's all of this evidence. It's not as ambiguous as hadith.
Can I have been critiqued?
It's not as ambiguous as like jinn possession and all of this thing. For me, I just feel like we need to look into what is actually evil eye and how does it work.
I agree.
Yeah,
I give you
rather than just hearing like, oh, what Auntie G said about, oh yeah,
why is it? When do we become literalists for? And people love picking and choosing their religion. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Al-aynul haq," the eye is true. Talking about the evil eye. Now, what does that mean? Why does it mean that no, he hasn't gone then and gone say, if you don't say masha'Allah, this is gonna happen to you? He didn't say that. He didn't say this and this, or you're gonna, oh, make sure you do this because you're gonna have this person can change Allah's qadr by his evil eye. He didn't say that. Why not say the effects of evil eye could be haq? That's what some scholars have said. For example, if I'm genuinely hating on Fahad, or I'm genuinely hating on you, yeah, it's going to materialize itself in our reality that I'm going to end up doing something to you. Yes. I don't know. Why couldn't it be that? Yes. I said I don't like Khalid now, yeah? And then,
but even that's a form of manifestation.
And even subconsciously, I might not like you, yeah? And I see your car rolling down the hill, yeah? I know I can stop it, yeah? I'm like, I can't stand this guy, yeah? I'm not going to stop it, and I'm going to like, you crashed in it, or I might subconsciously key your car. I might... That's an effective.
The reason why I believe that it could happen beyond an actual physical interaction, which would be much more logical. I think there's a law in what's the other world that they discovered? Is it metaphysics or
quantum physics?
Quantum physics in the quantum realm, where anything that was once together.
That's very interesting.
No matter how far or dispersed it is across the galaxies, it will always be affected by. It can always be affected by its other, or like by cells and particles. So, and they was talking about, when you send prayers to someone or sending prayers out to Indonesia, like what's the point? And it actually does it can affect that person in Indonesia. You sending good positive energy. Someone sees you on the gram. They've never, been with you in physicality, because obviously at one point, and obviously most people believe in the Big Bang, everything was once together until it was split. It can actually affect the other, and it's in the documentary called.
Can I ask a question about that? So the Indonesia example.
Yeah.
Would that apply even if we don't have like social media, TV channels? They don't know that we're sending prayers to them. Is that what you're saying, or is it that they see that we're supporting them?
I think basically what it was trying to say. Like I'm not an expert on the quantum realm, but just you sending that energy out to those people out there.
So if they don't know about it, still
you don't have to know about it in order to receive it. Like you praying for them, sending that direction, because you were once connected. Your cells were once one with wherever at some point in time, in the history of time, and it can still be affected by. I've explained it like in a poor way, but
no, it makes sense.
And even like when I'm talking about energies and presence, I know sometimes we feel like they aren't like, oh yeah, it's because it does sound a bit hippie-ish or whatever. But I've been in certain situations, good and bad, where I remember I'm just chilling in town with my friend, and I remember I was like, wow, suddenly something feels a lot heavier, until I realized it was another person I knew, and I know how many bodies this person has caught, and it's like, because he carried that energy around, and I remember it was so weird, because it's this like, it's almost like evil energy. Exactly. And on the other side of presence of when I've been in the presence of awliya and all that, when it's like, it's a lighter presence. You can't see it, you can't feel it. Some people are veiled by it.
But you could base that on the way somebody looks, the way they dress, the way that they talk.
No, but that's but in a thing where so many people are the same, like when they dress the same, and it's like, do you know, like it's not the slight nuances. Oh, because his eyes are a little bit close together, Wally. Like it's not like, do you know what I mean? For me, it's like
people have presence.
People have presence. You can't deny that.
I'll give an example on this. I have a friend, and beautiful friend, masha'Allah, and she just had a normal day. She was just in her place of employment, and now she's on her way, just literally, and she just feels something, like she just don't feel well, really don't feel well, and then looks over and then sees a man just looking at her. She's just looking at her, and then the feeling of it, she removes herself, goes home, obviously starts to drive now. Literally along the way, her body starts breaking out in hives, like big rashes all over her entire body. And that's because she's a very sensitive human being, but her body reacted to something. She felt the reaction before she saw the person. One really interesting thing, there's studies on people being looked at when they're not being looked at, and they directly are aware of the moment they're under observation to the moment they're not under observation.
When you're asleep and I come right next to you like that, you can feel that presence.
So, even the study they did, I don't know if it was a study, or like the fact if you was blindfolded and you had earphones on and they entered a line into the room, you would know something has entered the room. And it's not a thing, because you can't feel it unless you can smell it, whatever.
Mothers and children as well.
And that's a massive one. Like, sometimes, you know, when your mum texts you like, are you alright? Sometimes when my mum's calling me, I'm just like this, is she watching me right now? Because she knows I'm about to do something wrong.
I had a car accident at 15, and my mum like just had a feeling inside of her to get out of the house and just to check up on me to see where I was.
Exactly, and for me, that's what I'm saying.
Why are you driving at 15?
I was in the car accident at 15. I didn't say I was driving.
But that's what I'm saying.
But where are you driving?
That's what I'm saying. So like, maybe again, this when you take it too far, when it's like the masha'Allah, and if someone doesn't say masha'Allah, you can't, bit too far. But energies do exist.
I think that, but
if you are,
why are we complaining energies an evil eye?
Because if your energy ain't right, you're going to be projected onto people.
Not necessarily.
Because that was my thing of evil eye. I said, do you think, it was a question, I said, do you think evil eye is more so of a thing of, I'm looking at it and I've got this bad intention, and we all know thoughts become things. They manifest themselves.
The way that one of my teachers explained it to me was that the hadith on evil eye was not to be taken literally, but it was more to tell people that look, you need to praise, not to be envious, and that you need to recognize that everything is from Allah. So you need to praise Allah for these things.
I think also, I really feel like when people, again, my issue again, let's just say evil eye was real. I'd rather have other excuses before I blame the evil eye. For me, I personally feel belief in jinn possession, evil eye, many of these things, black magic, you take away from Tawheed personally. And I'm very Salafi here, but that's ridiculous. That's another point. No, why is Salafi associated with Tawheed only? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Anyway, that's
they're the furthest from it.
Rewind! We took that, we brought it right back. I'm going to hold it over here. Continue.
Don't hold it over here.
I'll point you that.
Okay, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no power or might except by Allah. Yeah, no, la ilaha illallah. There's no God but Allah. When you put so much power into people's evil eye, we believe, and we're a religion that we believe in destiny and qadr, and Allah does things that are best for us. And risk, everything's from Allah. And then you give people position, you give jinn position to take over your body. A man can just look at you and change your whole destiny. I feel like, for me, message is Tawheed. And what's the point of why do you think Tawheed is such a hard concept? Think to yourself, it took the Prophet Muhammad 13 years in Mecca to fight the pagan Arabs. For how long? Because that was the hardest thing. So they said, okay, cool, we accept your God, but we need to have all these. He seems too far away from us. He's too distant. We need someone a bit closer. For me, evil eye and these lot of these superstitions, you take away from the power of Allah and you give to these things. And that's what annoys me.
Separation, first and foremost.
That's what annoys me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I feel like people give these things too much power. To delve into whether they exist or not, that's like a whole debate
That's fine.
I know, but
even if it didn't exist, but my point is that remove all that and go to
If it
Allah.
100% exists, even in the way that we've all been. Okay, was that your foot moving?
Trying, I'm not this ain't
I thought it was a
masking.
It's a jinn.
So imagine evil eye exists exactly how Auntie G described it.
Can we stop sending? Can we use the African name? We love sending for the.
No, man, racist.
All of it
You called me
exists
monkey last
exactly how how everyone describes it. Yeah. Where is Allah in all of that? And where are you as a human being that's the Khalifa of Allah in that? Because how can you let these things that are suppressed by beings that bow down to your ancestors?
You.
I was gonna say bow down to you, innit? That's gonna be the next Serenity.
The Mandante, yeah.
But yeah, like your place in the cosmos as a human being is much higher than to be affected by something so minor in the lower realm. Do you know what I mean?
And the fact is, like I'm saying, like on a lower level to represent, like if the Queen sent you somewhere to like a certain country, even on our passports, like that's why the passport
If
is
the
so
Queen
strong.
what?
If the Queen sent you somewhere, like
Send you somewhere.
Soldier boy, tell him that.
If the Queen sent you.
So yeah, if the Queen sent you somewhere, it does have it on our passport. I'm saying if she sent you somewhere as like a representative of the.
But now I gotta take it.
No, I'm saying. I'm saying, oh, Hey, she's a sharif. whatever diplomatic thing sent you as a representative, like. That country would do so well to protect you and they would not harm you because of who you represent. Allah. Going back to that thing, you are on this earth and you're representing Allah. And this all comes under Allah's creation. It's like you think they're not gonna know. You know, maybe let's allow this one because it comes out of our jurisdiction. You know what I mean? So out of our pay budget.
So in the jinn, normally when all this ruqya and all this stuff goes on, normally you get told one thing. No, really, no, it's something that I carried on throughout my life when I was young and I was aware of it. Nah, they always said the jinns were always shook at the ones who had like a connection with God and an awareness and a belief and a faith in God. Someone would walk in and the jinn would be shook. That whatever, if we want to agree with it or not agree with it. And they always told you, if you, like, the reality is, you do not fear a jinn because they move by Allah. You connect and you hold on to Allah. If you hold on to Allah, they don't move nowhere. And the reality is, if you hold on to your belief and you have that faith, you fall into that category. You fall into that awareness and nothing can touch you. If anything does touch you, it's not this entity, it's not anything else. It's the manifestation of qadr and it's a manifestation of God and we as servants of God accept it.
So jinns can take the form of human beings, yes, no? Can take the form, not into...
No, but the hoof legs,
is it possible for a jinn to take the form of a human being?
No, what's the evidence?
Debatable, because angels can. No? Yeah.
Boy, and that's the thing.
Sorry, the point I was trying to say, what are the chances or the likelihood that at some point in our life we've actually interacted with an angel or a jinn?
High, very high.
High.
I feel like it's very high because look, the hadith of Jibril, when the Sahaba were sitting with the Prophet ﷺ, and a man came from somewhere, and you know the whole hadith of Islam, Iman, Ihsan, I won't go into it here. They saw that person in the form of a man, and it was an angel. There's also the other hadith, the hadith about the person that was traveling to another city because they wanted to visit someone for the sake of Allah. And then a man stopped them on the road and said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Oh, I'm going to such and such a place." And he's like, "I'm going to visit my friend." He said, "Oh, is it because of business or is it because of any worldly things?" And he said, "No, I'm just visiting him because I love him for the sake of Allah." Then the man said to him, "Well, I'm an angel sent by Allah to tell you that he loves you because you love this person for his sake." So, and even the hadith of Allah himself saying on Yawm al-Qiyamah, "Oh, I was hungry and you didn't feed me. I was sick and you didn't visit me. I got a
good question. It's going to end on a really good note. Everyone has the belief that angels can take the form of human beings. I believe it. Are there any situations in your life where you think that might have been an angel, and what would happen? I'm going to say you first because that story of the homeless guy was beautiful that you told me. He said something to you.
See, look, I was trying to keep that one on the low key because
I know if you want to keep that, you can use another one. But,
no, because I got more belief now in it. So, what was the sentence that he said?
He said something. Did he say something about? No, I can't remember. No.
Basically, I was in a time in my life when I was I was worried about my future, basically, like what to do, where to go. And I remember, like, obviously, I think I did take Tariqa at this point, innit? So, like, I'm on this spiritual journey, etc. And I'm doing all these things. And I just felt like Allah, like, you ain't chat to me for a while. Like, what go on? Like, I wondered if I'd done something wrong. And I remember, literally like that. And I remember I was just on the street, and I remember I was walking, and this homeless guy was like looking at me, and I was looking at him. I was like, because it was a different type, you know, because homeless people usually like they're either asleep or like they're just in their own world. But this one was just like proper focused on me. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And I remember I walked, and he got up and he comes over to me, and like he does, and again, and I'm at the same time I'm thinking about Allah being distant. I'm walking on the road, and this guy just comes up to me and he just goes, "Don't be scared." He's like this. He goes, "Oh, wow, I don't want to mess up what he said." Either way, he basically along the lines of, he said, "Don't be scared." He says, if you move in this the way you're going right now, he says you're covered, etc. He goes, I can tell you're a great person, and he goes, you're gonna be alright. Obviously, he said it more poetically, especially for a homeless person. I'm like this. How can you, like, you're saying it so eloquent? It's like you have like an education or whatever. And it was just one of those.
Implying that homeless people are dumb.
Just on that note,
Nah. See, look, when it takes so beautifully spiritual into a thing. We can get out with it.
I can get the answer for you guys if jinns can possess people,
Boys
and if you ask me in 2 months.
I'm not represented by everything that each one of the members say.
If you guys ask me in 2 months, I'll have an answer for you, and if jinns can possess people or not.
What are you doing with
Meet me in the Area 51 raid, boy.
Hey! Yeah!
When everyone running to stop twitching out, bro, because that's like the whole
Yo, anyone else having any angel experiences?
I was gonna say the main one.
Do you think that was an angel, or that God just put a human there at that right time?
As a representative?
What speaks through people? This is the thing, like, that's the question. What is speaking through people? Because, like, all of us, we've got our bodies, but behind you's a lot going on inside, and stuff comes out. I've had moments, bro, like, I don't believe we're separate. I believe we've got separate forms, but there's a lot connected under the surface. I've had moments exactly like that. Moments where I'm difficult, someone's put a hand on my shoulder out of the blue and just hugged me and just said, like, you're good, or walked off. Sometimes where I forgot my purpose, or sometimes on a deeper internal inquiry, I'll be walking in Dalston and a man will put his hand on my shoulder and he goes, you need to remember who you are. You're forgetting right now, that's okay, but you need to remember your journey, you need to remember your food, you need to remember your nutrition, you need to remember the environment right now is trying to poison you, come back to your personal balance. And then he started telling me about my mind, started talking to me about my DNA very quickly, and he said, the world will not lie, the world won't come to you unless you come to yourself, like, and don't forget, and just walked off. And then, like, and my partner at the time was like, I was like, listen, you know this. And then we just carried on walking. Nah, this happens often if you're listening. Because what we think of people are people. But when people talk, it's like we're listening, we're already trying to think of what to say next instead of listening. Yeah, next thing you know, something unravels itself at times if you're truly paying attention with intention.
It's like the poem when it said, God is always talking, it's just you're not listening. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that goes into like perspective. But I was gonna say more so the thing of like, you know, obviously being in like living as me as I've grown up, my interaction with the whole jinns and things I've seen, and it's like for someone to say to me, it's like, Umar, you didn't see that. That is when maybe it's like, because, and I feel like that's maybe why people get defensive, because they're like, now you're calling me a liar.
This is it.
Do you know what I mean? It's like when me and you play Mafia. Why we get so heated? Because I'm not Mafia. Oh yeah, that's like why I've never lost when I'm Mafia. That's why I've never lost when I'm Mafia. Shut up then. Anyway, but I'm saying for someone to say, oh yeah, Umar, you didn't see that, but it was like, but I'm a person that's quite skeptical about these things anyway, so I have no reason to lie.
No, but it's not. But that's not the issue here. Like,
is that before or after you cried?
Briggs, you better sit down before I start talking about when you cried.
At the end of the episode, yeah.
Briggs better sit down before I talk about when he cried.
Listen, we all cry.
We all cry.
Enjoy it, love it, man. You're really
Star is Born is an amazing film, and watch it if you
We've got an episode called Real Men.
Star is Born.
Exactly, it's first episode. Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. Real men are above 6'4".
Is it actually
That final song.
Don't tell me about this.
Oh, okay. Guys, thank you for tuning in for this very interesting podcast. I was learning.
For this, the what?
It's
the,
shit about
I feel like you spoke too much in this podcast so far.
You know, sometimes you can tell when he's like he's like this. What's Khalid? Like, I'm not here, Khalid's what? And you see him, and he's trying so hard to concentrate on something like this.
Guys, let me just tell you from behind the scenes here, in the transitions here, when it's on our side, I've seen him go. It's been a rough couple.
No, sincerely. You're talking, yeah. Look.
No. A lie is
a couple times.
Slacking.
A lie is been my mouth. Guys, my loyal listeners, they're lying. Check in for the next podcast. If you listen on iTunes or Apple Music, Spotify, leave a like or comment below. Let us know what we're talking about in the comments below, and we'll try and respond back to you. Until then, take care, peace, and blessings be upon you.